The release highlights 16 points. Speaking about the corruption of the previous government, Minister Mangala Samaraweera says Gotabya Rajapksa seems to be engaged in an untiring effort to throw the country again into a vipatmaga, or the destructive path. Minister Samaraweera adds that several cases are being heard in courts and are being investigated by the police against former Defence Secretary Gotabya Rajapksa at the moment. The media release highlights several allegations that are raised against Gotabya Rajapksa and the Rajapksa family. They are the corrupt MIG deal, plundering public money to construct memorial museums and name them after the parents, unleashing assault on journalists and enforced disappearances of some of them, instigating corruption and terror, and maintaining an illegal armory, thereby depriving the government of its due income. The release says charges of a similar nature are being investigated against the other members of the Rajapksa family as well. Minister Samaraweera says it is crystal clear that Rajapksa siblings have been endeavouring to grab power to rule once again by misleading the public in an attempt to sweep the legal cases against them under the carpet. The release says that the government has been able to strengthen the local economy despite many challenges after 2015. It adds that in 1990, export earnings were at 30% of GDP and that it had dwindled to 12% of GDP by 2014. The release says Kurunegala District MP Mahinda Rajapksa has charged that the unity government has to make the highest recorded debt repayment of US $4.2 billion in 2019 due to the debt crisis created by the Yahapalne government. Minister Samaraweera accuses the former president of being mindless and forgetful. The release says after independence in 1948, the highest amount of foreign debt has to be paid in 2018. The total foreign debt to be paid this year is $2,845 million US, of which $1,789 million has to be paid for foreign debts which were borrowed before the year 2015. The minister adds only an installment of $1,056 million US is to be paid for foreign loans borrowed after 2015. The release says $4,285 million US has to be paid in 2019, of which $3,315 million or 77% of the repayments are for the debt obtained during the tenure of the Rajapksa regime. Another $3,768 million US will have to be paid as loan installments and the interest in 2020, of which 77% or $2,905 million is the debt that was incurred before 2015. The release says in 2021, 83% of the foreign debt installments will have to be paid to repay the debt taken before 2015. In addition, the release highlights that even in 2030, 73% of the repayments will go to pay the debt that was obtained during the Rajapksa regime for the waste, fraud and corruption committed by the oligarchies of the Rajapaksas. The media release issued by the Minister Mangala Samaraweera further says that after this government was voted into power, it has obtained foreign debt of $12 billion US over the last 3 years, $6 billion of which was from international donor agencies and under bilateral agreements at concessionary interest rates. It adds that soon after this government came to power, it pledged to increase the salaries of public servants by 10,000 rupees because their salary was not increased by even 1 cent since 2006. In addition, the release says in comparison to the prices of powdered milk, domestic gas and fuel in 2014, the prices are still at a lower level, and when public servant salaries are increased by 107% in 2020, it will help people to increase their income and maintain the cost of living at a low level. Concluding his media release, the minister says the Rajapaksa siblings who ruled this country under such a background have been attempting to regain power by throwing the people into a vipatmaga, or a destructive path. The minister says, quote, "Therefore we urge the people to defeat such attempts and rally round the government's agenda to build a strong economy and a rich country by the year 2025. Unquote.
Meanwhile, at an event held to commemorate war heroes at the Sambuddhata Jayanti Dakshina Rama Viharya in Hokandar yesterday, former Defence Secretary Gotabya Rajapksa had this to say.
In the post-war era, we completely developed the North to achieve reconciliation. All displaced people were resettled. However, in order to prevent communal sentiments, which had been ingrained in the minds of the youth from coming to the fore again, we established a security system there. If we betray the freedom won through the sacrifices of many lives, political needs, for the wishes of various forces, or due to a failure to understand it, then we will once again enter such an era.
Former President and Kurunegala District Parliamentarian Mahinda Rajapksa had this to say.
I think that while the people of our country may not know the situation, they are well aware of the political and economic situation of the country. We believe that we must put a stop to this anti-war hero campaign where war heroes are being imprisoned.